Check, 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 check. Check, check. Check, check.
I'm going to have you shut me off. Testing 1, 2, testing. Testing. Can you hear, Margie? Can you hear that all right? All right. Testing 1, 2. So, testing 1, 2, you're all right? Well, you turn.
going to be running around with a microphone.
I see.
You're live right now.
Is there anything particular you want us to ask?
So don't say anything bad, right?
Who are those people, wacky people over here taking care of this? Oh, that's you guys.
They did. Did you watch the game? I did. Oh my gosh, that was pretty exciting.
Right down to the wire.
Oh yeah.
Okay, it's 7 o'clock, so we on all right? Thank you, team. Let's give a hand for the tech team over here in the corner. All right. Rhett's handling it tonight. Yeah, find a spot, everybody. Great, thanks for coming. It's been a busy month for our board, and it will continue with this week as well. So I have some light reading for you to do tonight. This is what I'm going to go through tonight. I promise not to bore you to death. I'll try to be as quick as I can and to hit the highlights so you can see what we're doing and what's going on, and then give us a little feedback as well. We're not going to have anybody introduced again tonight. Is that interesting? Sometimes people enjoy meeting new members. We're having trouble getting new members volunteering to get interviewed. I mean, it's not that hard. We won't beat you up, or we won't make people laugh at you or anything like that. So if you know some new folks who you encourage them, because we'd be like to interview them and welcome them. All right, so I gave you on a handout tonight that I think will cover a few things about the annual meeting coming up. So here's the deal. The annual meeting of this corporation is always the first Monday of May. Doesn't matter what the date is, it's the first Monday. So that would be May 5, 10 o'clock in the morning, and everybody who can be here, we'll have chairs up. We'll seat as many as we can. The rest of the people will have to be on 990. And we encourage you, here's how you make sure you are counted in the quorum, is to turn your ballot in to the office by the meeting time, 10 o'clock on Monday, May 5. So if you haven't voted yet, please do that, because your vote then adds to the quorum we need to have to conduct business at the annual meeting. So even though our election is not dramatic this year, and that's good. We had some dramatic ones in the past, but it's not dramatic this year. We would appreciate you getting those filled in. One of the candidates, I spent some time with the candidates just going over this structural piece. They said, Rich, how in the world does this place actually run and get organized? And the more I look at this and the more I think about it, I watch this all the time. I wanted to go over this with you folks as well tonight, because I suspect most people, if you're not paying attention or haven't served on the board in the past or whatever, you're not really familiar with what our organizational structure looks like. So you can see the power in the corporation, and remember that's what we are, a corporation. We're a business. We're not land. We own land together. We don't own our apartments. We rent them from ourselves, from the co-op. But we are the folks, the members are the people who are the authority in this community. And the most important things the members will do then is to elect people to serve on the board of directors and to also pass on the bylaws and the articles of incorporation like we did last year. And you could also vote to get rid of the bums if you want to throw the president out. So there you go. That's your job, to monitor the organizational structure and the leadership structure. So the board is made up of 9 people. Each person has a 3-year term, and you can serve on the board a total accumulation of 6 years, which means you can serve 6 years in a row, or you can serve 3 years now, and after a hiatus, you can come back and serve another 3 years. But cumulative is all you can serve is 6 years, 2 3-year terms. If you'll notice on the structure that I'm just wrapping up year 1 of my second term. So I think I'm the senior person on the board of directors right now. Let's see, maybe Rianne and I. No, Linda. She just was elected last year. So I think I'm the senior guy on the board. And so that's the board of directors as it currently is stated. Carol Alden, who's sitting over here, Carol has served a portion of the second year of a 3-year term where we had a resignation. We didn't have a vote on that from the members, but the board has, according to the bylaws, the board can elect people to serve in the interim, but they don't serve for the whole 18 months that are left. They only serve to the end of until the next time we organize. And so that's why when we vote this year, one of the persons who will be elected will only serve a 1-year term, while the other 3 people will serve 3-year terms. So we'll have to figure out how to do that. I think we might even start by asking if anybody wants to just do it for 1 year to crack and then come back later, or we might even draw names out of a hat or draw 3-3-1 or something like that. So we'll make it as generic and as good as possible to do that. So you can see the people. Now we've got 2 people who are leaving the board this year. Let's see, where are you, Bob? Bob's on there somewhere. Bob and Sharon are going off this year. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We got everybody on there? I'm looking for Bob's name. I get you. All right, very good. I must have an old copy because I'm not seeing what I'm supposed to be seeing on here. But Bob and Sharon are going off, and we'll have 2 new people who will join us. Roger Johnson will continue on, and I assume Roger will be elected, and Carol Alden, of course, will be reelected. The 4 of them will all be elected at the meeting. Now look at the boxes on the left and the right. The board hires people to manage our corporation for us. I mean, we don't know how to run a big business like this. Well, some of our board members might, but these are full-time jobs, and it takes a whole management team to make things happen. So the board enters into contracts with 2 companies to manage our systems here. From the very beginning of this co-op, in fact, before the co-op was established, Ebenezer Corporation was the organizing group of this co-op, and they've been the management company since day 1. We enter into 5-year agreements with them. We're just in the middle of or coming through the end of the 3rd year of a 5-year agreement with Ebenezer Corporation. They've been our one and only manager, and we pay them to do the management side, not for the salaries and all the other stuff, but we pay them about $85,000 a year which is really a bargain. And then think about, they took over our whole HR system for us and didn't charge us anything extra to manage that for us. We were very blessed by that. Now, the other side is Morrison Living, which is our food service company. We're just coming to the end of the second 5-year term with Morrison Living, and we have negotiated a 2-year extension of that contract to give us some breathing time to figure out where we're going to go and how we're going to think about the future of dining services here at 7500. I'll comment about that a little later. We pay Morrison about $75,000 a year to be our management company. And then you put all the other stuff in the budget that comes with the personnel and all the other things that they buy. But that's, so you can write that, $85,000 under Ebenezer, $75,000 under Morrison Living. It's interesting, the food service guys are expensive, and they're hard to find good companies. That's the challenge, of course. Then you can see under the board of directors are the management company, the management teams, and the committees of the co-op. Most of you, how many of you serve on committees these days? That's a waste. That's why the co-ops work, because people serve on committees. These are the standing committees. RAC itself, with all the subcommittees underneath it, is one of the standing committees, and you'll see the 10 committees there as well. I understand a couple of committees or a couple of subcommittees of RAC are having trouble finding people to serve. So what's the deal then? Instead of trying to run around like chickens with our head cuts off, what we're going to do probably is we're going to have to either let those subcommittees just rest for a year until they make a comeback, till somebody's willing to step forward and pick up the leadership. It always takes that. It takes 1 or 2 people to be responsible to make good leadership happen. So we can't force that on anybody, but we're looking for people. I think the excursion committee will go on hiatus again. Is that right, RAC gang? I think that's what was going on, right? Because nobody's willing. That's a hard job to run that excursion and make sure everybody's got a spot to be and get the lunches lined up and get the plant. There's not much easy in every. All of you who are working are doing great, and you're working hard, so we appreciate that. So just know that those are the 10 standing committees. The standing committees were brought into existence by the board years ago. Actually, we wouldn't have to have any committees, but that'd be kind of foolish. The board established over the years, this is the committees we came up with. We're following that pattern over the years. To the left box is the management staff that Ebenezer provides us. You can see the administrative staff, Mitch and Jake, Barb Murphy, Kathy Hall, Michael Ordorf, and LaDamian Vang. I hope you got to meet LaDamian. He's a great guy. He's really doing a good job for us, the new security director. The other box on the right-hand side, our auditors, Wifley and Company, which I'll talk about in just a minute. We have 2 legal firms that do work on our behalf. Larkin Hoffman does most of our contract work and work with where we have legal problems that you need to call the lawyer and find out if this is on the up and up. Greenstein Sellers is a longtime attorneys group that has done a lot of work for us in terms of governance, bylaws, worked with legal ownership, things that we're doing, and so we have those retained. And the board also then has 2 people this year, 2 people, Lori Gable and Patty Martinson, who are the historians for the 5-year period that we're coming under. So that's, in a nutshell, that's how the place is organized. It's organized, committees bring stuff to the board acts on them, the board listens to committees, to management, and then we work together to make that happen. Any questions about that layout the way it is there? All right, next piece. So again, that's why it's important to vote and for the board members coming to the annual meeting. Tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, thanks to the Kathy Hansen back there and our friends in the Finance Committee and the board are going to get together. They sent me a little document to study a couple days ago about. So this is the audit, that is the preliminary audit that's come back from our auditors, Wifley and Company. They've been our auditors for a number of years. My hunch is, and that's not a hunch, I want to say that maybe there may be no more important thing that the board and the finance committee do than when we sit together and receive and go through the audit with the auditors. That's one of the key responsibilities of anybody who serves in governance of any organization. And we have good auditors. They hold our feet to the fire. They hold our accounting people to the fire, and they have worked well with us over the years. I want to just read to you the statement from the auditor. This came in the report. In our opinion, the financial statements referred to above are presently fairly in all material respects. The financial position represent the financial position of 7500 York Cooperative as of December 31st, 2024 and December 31st, 2023. And the results of its operations and its cash flows for the years then ended in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States. We've got another good audit. We will hear that from our auditors, and it's really an important thing. Now, our old friend Dick Hansen used to be on the Finance Committee. He had some questions that he'd always ask. And Dave Price, our treasurer, is going to ask tomorrow. Here are some questions that are addressed to our management company and to the auditor. Are there any problems or issues that you need to disclose to the board and the Finance Committee? Do it now. Are there any financial statements that are not consistent and not in accordance with principles? Are there any disagreements or disputes between the auditors and the management company? Have there been any related transactions since we last met, or they look at all the stuff we've done over the last year? Have any legal claims, known or potential legal claims, risen since the last time the audit was completed? Are there any known problems with taxing authorities, or is the government after you? They'll ask us that. Are there anything else of nature that we need to tell the auditor, the management people? And then the treasurer will turn to the auditor and ask these questions. Was any pressure put on you by the administration or the personnel at 7500 York during the audit, including pressure of not recording or not doing the adjustments rightly? And the guy has to answer, yes or no. Is there any pressure put on you? During the audit, were there any significant changes made by you relating to the audit procedures, audit scope, and the materiality levels? What are your qualitative judgments about the appropriateness of 7,500 accounting principles and financial disclosures, and how aggressive or conservative those accounting principles and underlying estimates are? What they're looking for, of course, is more conservative procedures. They don't want to see companies doing all kinds of stuff that's getting the net, like people who take tax deductions out in left field. They don't want to see that on the audit. They want to see conservative stuff that we followed good principles of accounting. Did any serious difficulties or disputes with management arise during the audit? Because the auditors and the management folks do talk to one another. They have to get explanations. They have to look together at what they're looking at and make sure they're getting all these things correct. Is there anything else about the audit findings that generally accepted auditing standards require you to discuss with the board and with the Finance Committee? Does anything exist, or has anything arisen that impacts or would step on your independence to be an auditor? Is there anything else that you want to disclose to us? And they will ask us pretty pointed questions, and Dave will ask the auditor and ask the folks for management some of those questions that they have to honestly answer to us, of course, because they are telling us what needs to be said, and they're on their own honor, and they're on their own. They're bound to do this and be good fiduciaries of our committee. So that's tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock. We're going to meet with the Finance Committee and do that. So there you go. That'll be an interesting report. And as I said, one of the most important things that the board and the Finance Committee does. Now, I got this coming in. John asked me about this. So you got this week about the garage cleaning, right? Tuesday the 29th and Thursday the 1st. So here's the problem, right? It sounds like you've been watching the weather. looks a little scary tomorrow, right? It's hard to know, it's just hard to know, but we watched again tonight at 6 o'clock, and they're talking about potential problems somewhere between 4 in the afternoon and 10 tomorrow night. So John said, Rich, what do you think? So here's really some, I don't see how we're going to be able to reschedule the cleaning. So here's I guess what I was going to have to say. Those of you who were lucky enough to live in the south garage this year and who will have your garage stalls cleaned tomorrow or on Tuesday, my hunch is you better plan to get up early and put your car out Tuesday morning. If you want to protect it, get it back in the garage and get up early Tuesday and move it. I mean, I don't see, we're not going to change the Tuesday time to the company. We book them a year in advance. They come in with all the equipment. So you're going to have to get up a little early. You got to be out of there by what, 8 o'clock? 8 o'clock. Heck, it's half the day is shot by 8 o'clock. So, yeah. So my hunch is if you're antsy, and we're all antsy, nobody wants you to get your car hurt. You might want to put it, some of you have already put it out in the street already, they told me. And if you're worried, put it back in the garage, set your alarm, and get up early. That's the best advice I can give you. All right. You got this in your box this week for the copy of your Hennepin County property tax statement for 2025. Be sure to, especially new folks need to remember, you don't pay your property taxes direct. You pay them all right, but you pay them through the cooperative. The co-op pays your property tax. That's part of your fees that you pay. This was a statement that, in case you're new, it looks like you could, if there's some worry that you can get a property tax refund, and I'm not sure what the ramifications are, but just know this is just telling you, if you talk to your tax guy, maybe you can figure out some ways to get some credit. Make sure that happens. You've got a copy now again of your tax statement for 2025. And notice what Barb reminded us in this memo is what we say it's worth to us here at the co-op and what the county says are two different things. Remember, we're a limited equity cooperative. We give ourselves 2% a year to grow our own, what our units are worth. Out on the market, they're worth a little more, right? It says for our 2-bedroom unit in 2025, it's evaluated about $147,000. Well, if you look at our charts, whatever it is, it's about, I don't know, it's half that probably what we say, what we give. So what the co-op values the property, our units at, and what the county are two different things. So don't get confused. Don't pay this. The co-op has already paid your property taxes. And that's why you get a statement. So I just want to remind people of that. That's really an important thing. And sometimes it's confusing if the first time you go through that. I understand that. All right. Oh, last Monday, we had a briefing by our partners or our people in our management company. Ebenezer Management Services has a foundation office. And their foundation director spoke to the board and some of the committee members. You know, I still say one of the mistakes they made early on in this process is nobody thought, 50-some years ago, nobody thought to start an endowment for $7,500, where people could have put in some estate gifts or whatever. We could have been accumulating monies for a long time. I think they didn't do it because we are not a tax or a 501c3 corporation. So you can't get, if giving a nice gift to the co-op will not get you a tax deduction. Now, we've had people in the past since I've been here, when we started the Legacy Fund, we got a wonderful IRA gift, almost $110,000 for one of our members, who said, yeah, I'll give it to the co-op. And they didn't get any tax deal, but he did it out of the goodness of his heart. The resident fund got a nice gift out of someone's estate, one of the former board chairs, who he and his wife left a nice gift in their estate plan for $7,500, but there were no tax deductions for anybody. So Ebenezer is offering us, and this is interesting, because they are a 501c3 corporation. They have a foundation office that for, and here's the kicker. What we can't do is we can't take, so you can't say, I'd like to build a whole new, I don't know, dance studio. I'd like to knock the wall out and make this room bigger, and I'll give you $500,000. I'll give it to Ebenezer. Well, the trouble is you can't do that because Ebenezer won't cover capital. It won't cover property. It has to be programmatic. So they've got a way, and we'll look at this. We haven't figured out how to do it yet. They've got a way, if there's a programmatic event that might be coming up, that people could give a gift. Maybe we're going to enhance the education programs around here, or enhance gardening, or enhance the music programs. We're looking at that, but they can't do the big stuff because they won't take, or they can't take those gifts that are for property. That's too bad. That would really be nice. We could funnel some big time dollars into that. But we're working on that now, trying to come up with a policy that will work for the benefit of everybody. And there's a couple of ways they do that. The chief one is you'll be able to, if we go this way, you'll be able to put some dollars down, and you can give a gift for a music program or an art program, or you can give a gift for a education program, and it'll be tax deductible. Somebody help! Hey, Steve, welcome. You get a chair over there. There's some chairs. There's some chairs in the front. Hey, you're more than welcome. All right. The board meeting. The board meeting, this is an oddball. I got my packet the other day before I left town to go to Des Moines, and I haven't worked through this whole thing yet, so I got to do that's my homework yet before Wednesday. And then the second packet comes tomorrow. Then there'll be another packet for me to read. So we're getting ready for the board meeting, and it's the last Wednesday of the month, so wouldn't you know, April, what's the last Wednesday of the month? April 30th. So our board meeting is coming up April 30th. We have the normal things we'll do. We have a change order that we have to pass on, or we've already voted on, but we have to affirm it on our big project. And boy, they're making great progress outside. It's really finally good to see that happening and good things going in there. We have our normal committee reports and some other areas of programs. We're going to try something. People ask us, what are we going to do with the old Stop and Shop area? Well, that's a good question. We're not quite sure. One of the thoughts is, and our general manager, Mitch, we're old enough, our co-op's old enough that we operate under different cooperative laws than most of the new senior co-ops do. The new senior co-ops must have all their meetings open. We do not have to do that. We can keep our meetings in closed sessions. There's some good things about that, some not so good things about that, but we're going to give a look at holding a meeting in the old Stop and Shop area. I mean, I'm envisioning a multi-purpose room in there. Who knows what it's going to come to be? There's all kinds of interesting ideas. If you got an idea, write it up and send it to us. That will be interesting to see. But on Wednesday, we're going to hold our board meeting up in the Stop and Shop area. One of the things Jake has suggested to us that we'll be able to run cable and run a camera over there so that we could broadcast the board meetings. For most of the board meeting, you'd be bored to death. I mean, I'm serious about that. Most of it is pretty mundane. Every now and then there's a hot topic that would be interesting. So we're going to give that just a feel and see what that looks like. Gives us a little more openness to the community. So we've got lots of stuff to go through, our normal stuff, and a couple of things that will come up, and I'll just mention. We've redone again, rethinking our team, thinking about the committee I've asked to help us think broadly about art in the area. And we're going to pass some new documents and hand it on to those folks. They're ready to, willing to serve, and it's time to put them on the road. But that'll be an interesting thing. We're also looking at hiring. We put it in the budget this year, a consultant to help us as the board do some thinking about the food service, what the food service will look like for the future. This week, we also had, the other meeting was attended, was the QBR, which is the Quarterly Business Review team. I and Rhiann Leaf, the vice chair of the board, and our food service chairman and vice chair, along with Mitch, are the 5 people from the co-op on the Quarterly Business Review team working with Morrison. We've come a long way. I'm going to comment a little later about Mitch's comments about what people were saying about him over these last months. But one of the things they said is Mitch is trying to get rid of the food service. There's not been anybody who's worked harder to make that food service work than Mitch. And our 3 people from the food service committee, they've done a really great job. We've pounded out the extension 2-year contract with Morrison. Mitch has held their feet to the fire, and we've got quality people in here. We wouldn't have got Nick without him and the other team really advocating. And Morrison has stepped up to the plate. And you all say that, right? We got a great chef, right? We sure do. The meals are great. We're trying to make that work. Now the question is it the proper model for the long run and the future of the co-op? That will be the interesting question. Of course, because what it does is it's an amenity that all of us pay for, whether we use it or not. That's built in. It's been built into the co-op since the very beginning. But this quarterly business team has been an interesting bunch, and they have worked really hard. And I want to thank our general manager publicly for leading the charge. He's worked through those documents with fine-tooth combs and has put us on a foundation where when Morrison does better and we come out in the black, we share some of the profits. And when they don't do better, they eat it. And that's part of the deal. So it's really an interesting contract that we banged out for the next 2 years and that we will continue to work on. So we will work on those 2 pieces as well. All right. Just some light reading for us. All right. Next. In August of 2024, and all throughout the summer, a group of really dedicated volunteers did a revision of the member guide to cooperative living. How many of you have this and know where it's at in your unit? If you don't, find it. You all got one in the mail that came out into the mailbox. They've had one of these since the very beginning, 50 years ago. It got awfully thick. And our group worked hard to narrow it down, to standardize it, to systematize it, so that it was well laid out and well done. And if you don't know where this is in your apartment, you find it. And you study, because this is really important. Because especially those of us who are new, but especially those of us who, again, have been around for a long time, don't just kind of, don't always pay attention to what's going on. We've had a few things arise that did not meet what the members' guide says. Like I said, they've been doing this from the very beginning. We've had great big thick ones. This is really a well done one. We've had some security issues. Yeah. Pardon?
We're just saying none of the people around here, we don't have the new thinner one like that. I have the old
You got
one.
this in August of 2024. It came to everybody's mailbox. So look in your piles of stuff. It was in your mailbox. And if you didn't get one, you can probably go to the office and get one. I think it's on the portal. Could anybody help me on that one? Now, let me quote that. Maybe you didn't. If you didn't ask for it, you might not have got it.
That's what
And
I
that
think.
may be. So let me rephrase that. If you don't have one, ask for one, or go on the portal. We'll check the portal and see if it's on it. I think it is.
How does this one differ from one that we may have gotten 12 years ago?
Oh, they went through everything and revised everything according to the standards document.
So-
It's the same pattern. It's about moving in and out. It's about using their keys. It's about security. It's the same one, just been revised. And now this is the one that we go by. We don't go by the old stuff anymore. We go by the new one. I'll check on that. I thought we made enough for everybody, but maybe I was wrong about that. George, do you remember that at all? I can't remember myself.
Everybody got one?
I think everybody got one. So, so check, because this is what we're operating with. This one will be on the portal.
Look in the drawer where you put stuff that you don't want to deal with.
But you should have this. You should have this. And if you don't, make sure you get a copy or download one off the portal. And the reason I pull this out tonight, just a couple things. Security issues. People who come from outside the community are supposed to come through the main door and sign in. You are not to let them in on the side doors or on wherever else. They need to come in the main door and sign in. That's been the rule here since day one, I believe. But we have a lot of people who abuse that privilege, and they need to pay attention to that. So be sure you say that to your neighbors. Use the front door. Do not give your C key or your E key to anybody. The only thing you can give to your family is the key to your apartment. They cannot have a key to the building. They cannot have a key to the common areas. So the C key and the D key are only to be in your possession. And if you let your friends and family have them, you are a violation of what you do with the security. We want to tighten security. We've had some people spotted. One of our members saw a young guy down in the garage. Young guy, aren't we all young guys running around down in the garage? Somebody who was down there with a backpack, and she was talking, and it looked like a young kid from somewhere. And he had a key to get into the building. Do not give away and to give to anybody your C key or your E key. The only thing your family can have is your apartment key. That's the only thing. They have to sign in just like everybody else. So just make aware about that. Somebody told me this morning at our church that they went out and got a whole bunch of new bird seed because they have a lot of bird feeders in their backyard. They put it out there, but they've noticed nothing's been happening for the last 3 or 4 days, or maybe even a little longer. And there's no singing, there's no birds back there. They said, well, the cardinals weren't even around. And the guy said, oh, yeah, that's because they're all in Rome. I was waiting for that all day. But here's what it says in the member's guide. As lovely as we all think, those of us who have patios, you can't have a bird feeder on the patio. Why? Not because we're nasty and mean. Because over the years, we found out that when that happens, stuff gets on the ground and we have varmints that get into the building. We do it for pest control. I mean, when you go through the member's guide and you read the member's guide, people say, oh, how come they're so mean? Well, they're not mean. They've just realized after 50 years, here's stuff that we all need to pay attention to. So that's why we don't have that. That's why we try to standardize things. So I'm going to encourage you, and I will check tomorrow. I'm sure that we gave everybody a copy. But it was last summer, so you never know where ours went. Thankfully, it's one of the things I can find because I keep mine. Yeah, I like that cardinal joke. That works pretty good. All right. Then I want to go to one final thing. One of the things we're going to discuss in the board, the ACH program, that is the automatic ACH, automatic checking, what is it? I don't know what the H. Automatic clearinghouse. Very good. 80% of our members use the ACH. 20% do not. That's about 60 units. So here's the problem. Well, when they first told me that they would encourage us, Rich, you're on the board. You need to set an example. I said, well, I like to write checks. I always write checks. Well, and my kid brother tells me I'm in the dark ages. He's a banker. I said, yeah, I understand that. So I did it. Signed up. Easy. Easy peasy, nothing to it. They take it out, I get our statement that comes through email, I get our statement, comes in the box, and you look at it, and you watch your bank statement, and it comes out. So here's the problem we're having with some, not all. We have people, unfortunately, who write checks that nobody can read. And I understand that. I helped one lovely lady. She said, Rich, I can't see it anymore, and I write all these. Can you help me fill? I said, yeah, I can help you. If you don't mind, I'll do it. And so our problem is we keep having to run down and go back and forth. The numbers don't agree. The number in the box and the number you write out, they can't make out what it says. We are encouraging those last 20% of our members, please sign up for ACH. It is not hard to do. What's the incentive? Well, there is no incentive other than cooperative, just do good. Do good and get her done. So we got one less hassle that administration doesn't have to run around trying to come and visit 3 or 4 times to get the check right. That messes all of us up when people have problems getting their checks in, because it's all accounting is really important. We talked about there is a negative way to reinforce our concern. Some cooperatives charge their members a check fee. If you write a check, you'll get a fee. I dig that. Makes some sense. Write a check. If you want to write a check, costs you $25 a check to write it every month. Now, can we give you a little incentive to get the ACH done? Yeah, I think we can give you some incentive. We haven't made that decision yet. We're going to talk about that over these next couple of board meetings. I mean, nobody likes to have to think about how do you make people do what needs to be done, even though, and I understand. I've been doing this for 50 years. I've been doing this for 80 years, and I ain't changing now. Well, I dig it. But it's time to help everybody, and especially when we got problems where we're taking up time running down people, and when we have checks that are rejected by the bank, we just got to stop that. That's way too complicated. So I'm just letting you know what we're thinking about, okay? Everybody dig that? Nobody wants to go there, but if we gotta, we may, Understand that? Okay. So, one more item. I appreciated, and our board appreciated, at the last managers meeting this last Wednesday, Mitch's wrap-up. After being here a little over 2 years, all the stuff he's heard about what he's supposedly doing to the co-op. We appreciated him coming out and saying, hey, I can take it. I'll take stuff from people, but make sure what you're hearing is true, because we've got a nasty problem with gossip in this community of former members and former staff and whatever. By the way, I met one lovely lady today at our church. She just moved. Some of you know her. She said she's at assisted living across the street. She said, Rich, I so miss 7500 York. I said, yeah, I understand that. We all gripe about, and then when push comes to shove, we miss this place, right? It's a good spot to be. So here's what Mitch told you. If you didn't get there for this meeting, here's what he said people are saying about him. Mitch wants to turn 7,500 cooperative into a condominium. Well, Mitch can't do that. Only all of us voting 2/3 or 3/4 by the bylaws could do that. One of my snarky friends said, well, it depends how big the check is. That's always interesting. But no, Mitch is not turning 7,500 into a co-op. Into a condominium. It's a co-op, and we own it. Not Mitch doesn't own it, Ebenezer doesn't own it, we own it together. We're the owners, we make the decisions. What hopefully Mitch is doing is using standard and excellent business practices to run this place, to manage this place, to get us the best possible staff in this place, to do good so we can all do good together and flourish. That's what we want him to do, and that's what I think he's doing. Mitch is a corporate bulldog for Ebenezer. Well, one of the things that happened here over the years is I think there was way too much distance between Ebenezer Corporation and our management team. We've missed out on all kinds of good things that they have provided for us, from legal work, from marketing work, from their chief guys that work with property and maintenance, for continuing education for our staff. We missed out on tons of those things. We're using the money we pay to Ebenezer finally to build us up and to do good things for our co-op. So I applaud him for using the things that Ebenezer provides us. We're paying for them. Why wouldn't we use them, and why wouldn't we have a good relationship with them? Mitch makes it too expensive for members to live here. Now, on the back side of the handout I gave you is a thing I've showed you before. Thanks to former President George Fairdup, we've got a wonderful grid here. As soon as I can find my grid, Somebody got an extra copy of that? Thank you, sir.
I sat on it.
Oh, way to go. What Mitch and the board have been working on is we're going back to catch up on the years when very little was done to put away for the future, when everybody complained and whined about, oh, we can't increase our fees because we just can't take it, and they didn't increase fees in some years, and folks were paying the piper. So every time somebody asks me about that or says something about that, I just get this out, and it's very helpful. It's very helpful. What our general manager has told us, and what he's told us is the truth. If we don't work hard, if we don't somehow bring us back to snuff, if we don't make up for lost time, we're going to be in trouble for the future. And I just lay this out for you because it doesn't take a genius to figure out why in the world. I understand why people get antsy about the fees. We all do that. We've got to figure that out. This is one of the things that scare me. I tell you, or concern me, especially for single women. The housing crisis, I keep reading about this, for single women in America is a really complicated piece right now because of finances, because of people who've lived on their own without a spouse, or a spouse who's dead, and maybe didn't survive enough with enough funds, and then longevity. The women are outliving us all. Fellas, we're in trouble, you know. The gals are outliving us all, but that's put pressure on the whole system. And it will continue to put pressure on our system. There's no doubt about that. But you can see what happened in the years when we tried to do so minimal costs and we didn't hold our feet to the fire, fund our reserves, which is the key thing we're doing now in our budget, as well as making sure that we're doing what needs to be done for the good of the whole. We are protecting your investment. And that's why we hired Mitch to do the job, to protect our investment as owners of the 7500 Cooperative. Mitch is invading our privacy. By the way, I see we're on the 9th floor this week. Did all of you get the nice guy that comes and did the survey of your unit? Anybody give him cookies? He said he wouldn't take cookies, but I know he likes them. It was very interesting. We walked with him and he did. I hope you enjoyed meeting him. And what we're doing, of course, is what we should have been doing the last 25 years, is to have computerized stuff of everything that goes in every unit, what the co-op put into it, and then how the members have added on to it. We have some of the most lovely apartments in the whole community. They're just, he tells me we've got some great places, but we don't know for a long time. We weren't sure what we owned, because we own what goes in there, and then we have to make a list of everything that's there, plus all the stuff that's added on, so we have an accurate record of what we have in the co-op and how we're going to manage the turnover as those things happen. So are we getting in your space, invading your privacy? Well, no, with adequate announcements or whatever, the management agreement And the agreement you signed when you came in here gives the authority of the administration to do that. We all do that because these are not our units. They are the co-op's units, and we rent from the co-op. And I just appreciate the work that we've been doing in making this assessment. Now, in June, we'll have the annual inspection. That's something we never did here. In co-ops, you have an annual inspection, a quick run over, you look, everything working right, everything there. So that's a different deal than what we're doing now. Now we're making the computer list and we're doing the inventory of everything we own in this building. So I always think, you got to think if I'm right. When I was explaining to my brother-in-law about what it means to get a co-op, I said, we come in and the co-op says, we'll give you a Chevy. And if you want a Buick or a Cadillac, then you pay for it. And if you get run over by a bus 2 weeks later, the next person gets your Cadillac. That's how the place operates. Hopefully, you and I are all here to enjoy the investment we put into that unit. That's one of the risks all of us take. But it's a really an interesting business plan, and it's part of and then the other side of that is when units need to change, we've got to make sure that we got a buyer and we got a seller because somebody's got to pay the fee. There's nobody out there with a big sack of money who will come in and say, "Oh, for 3 months, well, we can't sell this or whatever. We're going to subsidize." No, there's no subsidy. It has to come either from the buyer or the seller. We have to make that happen. That's why we pay Barb to be on the phone like mad to put those deals together so that real estate can happen back and forth. Mitch wants to get rid of the activities coordinator, the social worker, and security. I don't think so at all. I keep reminding people, because there are people here who think we should have none of those folks. Not management. We got members who say, why do we have all this stuff, Rich? Why do we have all this? Well, it's been part of our DNA. We found out that it works well. The activities coordinator and then the activities is a small potatoes budget, but look at the action we get out of that. It's amazing what all the things that go on around here. We have a social worker. This is in a big building like ours. We have people in different cycles. I mean, I walk around, I meet people that I've never met before who don't come out of their apartment very often and who are just, in another generation, they would have been at the nursing home. But they're here. So why do we have a social worker? It's really an important position to have, as well as security. We all struggle with it. We struggle with every time we work through the budget. Our teams work hard to say, what do we got to have? What's it going to cost us? How are we going to do it at the most reasonable way? And so every time we have an amenity, we have to pay for it. It doesn't happen by magic. Nobody's coming up with a sack of money that's going to subsidize us. We pay for what we use and what we have. Mitch wants to get rid of the York room. Well, I told you, he's been the biggest advocate to make that place work. He's responsible for putting us in a good financial position and helping us to put the screws to Morrison to bring the right people in here at the right time. So I wanted to reiterate that. I appreciated him saying and doing that at the managers' meeting. Okay, questions, comments? Yeah, here's a mic. Gary, what do you got?
A question relative to the budget for 2025.
Yep.
That's a little over 7 million.
8.5, actually.
8.5 this year. How big of an increase is that for this year?
What do we go up to, Dave? I got the copy here.
It only goes up to 2024.
Oh, you mean our fees? Our fees were what? What do we charge? 10? Yeah.
1037.
Actually, for 2025, we had 12.5%. That was last year for that's for this year. That's 2025.
No, that's what they requested. We lowered that.
I think we did, didn't we?
We did lower it.
We thought that was too high. Yeah, we were down below 10. We were 9.5. Yeah, we came down closer to 10.
And then just a follow-up question. Is the reserve study on the portal?
That I don't know. I gave you a copy of it.
Yeah.
You have a copy of the reserve study. I'm not sure. We're trying to get all those documents on the portal. So sooner or later, they'll all be there.
The only reason I brought that up is if you look at that reserve study, you could kind of determine what your costs are going to be as an individual per unit
Well, yeah, that
over,
helps.
over that time
Yeah.
period.
Yeah, especially for the things we have to do capital-wise. That will tell us where we're going capital-wise. Now, the other thing about that reserve study, even we don't have to, just because we have it in place, we don't have to do it. If we figure out, all right, we're pushing it too tight this year, we can rearrange the schedule. It's not in stone like Moses got the tablets, It gets a movable, and every year it gets reassessed and redone. So it's a moving document. But what the best part is, in our budget, and one of the reasons our fees went up this year, we put an increase in to start helping to fund the changes that have to take place in the units. We've never done that before, and we're holding our feet to the fire, and we're putting the money in every day. We're going to $1.7 million, $1.6 million in the reserve.
$1.7
million. $1.7 million every year.
Now you're taking away all of my stuff I was going to cover in the annual
Well, sorry
meeting.
about that. You can still cover that. Good question, though. Other questions?
What did you just say? What did you just say? You're putting the money into the units. What does that mean, Rich?
Well, that means for the longest time, we need to get a cycle going where we go into every apartment and replace the stuff that needs to be replaced. We haven't been funding the replacement costs.
Let me give her an example.
Dave, you help her. Help
Let me
me
take
out.
this away from the minister here.
That's right.
I'll give you one example of what is in there. Let's just say that the manufacturers of the refrigerators say a refrigerator should, on average, last 15 years. I'm making that up. So what we put in the reserve is assuming that every unit in the entire building will need a refrigerator every 15 years. And we've got money set aside for that. That was never done before. What they used to do was take it out of the operating budget, and if they had to do that, then other things fell by the wayside and weren't funded. Yeah. So now we're funding that through the reserve.
And now just think,
that money is protected for that type of work.
Not just refrigerators.
Well, not just refrigerators,
stoves,
everything.
Flooring, carpeting, all the stuff
That was
that goes into
that was the new part of the reserve that we funded this year. The old part is we funded those things out of the regular operating budget.
Now we're doing it.
Now we put money aside in the reserve for it's called unit refurbishment.
Right. Well, that's part of it.
No.
Not all of it, but part
No,
of it.
it's more than that. But the concept is that money was never set aside in the past, and that's why many times people needed it, and we couldn't do it.
We had a plan, but no money. So now we're funding it. Yep. Yep. That's a hard. The reserve study is a hard one to. I mean, that's really. It's taken me, 3-4 years to mostly figure that out. You got to study it. It's interesting, and thankfully we've got sharp people that are doing good work on that. So I appreciate that. All right, 8 o'clock. Time to go home. Thanks for coming, everybody.
I got my 500.